Welcome to the Diablo Podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com, and this is a service of diabloincgamers.com. I am the host, Flux, and I am joined this week a amazing, fantastic return of our favorite co-host. It's...
Elly!
And it's Nineball, as you can hear. No, it's Elly. We're back on a News Attack podcast, the first one of these we've done in many a moon, and there's just so much news we couldn't resist. Is that why you're here, Elly? There's so much news?
It's a very exciting day. Interesting
Actually,
day.
you just got a new headset and you want to try it out, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm off now.
Okay, cheerio!
Bye!
Okay. It's a big, busy week. We're recording this on a Monday night, and it's been an interesting day for us. One of our site writers made a somewhat bold prediction last week that today we might get a Diablo 3 release date. And how did that turn out, Elly?
Not as well as expected.
Did you really expect it?
No, I expected something interesting to happen.
Was interesting mean people complaining about our release date prediction being incorrect?
Well, I guess he had to have a stab at anything. He could have had a stab and said, monsters XP damage will be, double. With everything else with what Jay had said, and with Cbit on, I guess he interpreted the interesting news to be release date, because really that's what else is interesting apart from the release date at this point.
And there's obviously been a lot of chatter over the weekend. We had suddenly April 17th release dates being said by some European gaming retailers, which we've seen for 4 years.
Yeah, it's nothing really new, but I thought going back to KD's news item, I thought it was a pretty ambitious for the guy to pin it down to the day, because he did say Monday the 5th. But you think if there's one department you'd think would know dates, it would be like marketing and planning, and indeed even media agencies who usually plan 1 or 2 months ahead of the actual release date. But then, of course, Blizzard Italy, supposedly this weekend, was it this weekend or was it the end of last week, they informed the Italian online retailers that the release date was April 17th. It kind of backed up what KD's suspicions might be for this interesting news we're meant to be getting this week.
Do you think we'll get a release date soon? To put you on the spot?
Well, I mean, it's got to be released sometime, for crying out loud, isn't it?
Kind of the StarCraft Ghost.
Yeah, but this hasn't been canned.
Not yet, anyway. No, I'm sure it'll be. Well, their current window is Q2, which is until June 32nd, as I usually say. And they've said it's about 2 months usually between release date announcement and release. So you'd think that they have to say something by end of this month, early May. So it's obviously it's still. It's only beginning of March now. In theory, they've got all of April yet. They could still release date or not announcement.
Yeah,
No, I've mangled the calendar. Yeah, so they could the end of April, early May would give them 2 months until the very end of June. It'd be the latest possible in theory.
Yeah, if they were going right down to the wire. But I don't know if that date on the Italian retailers came about as a result of the strategy meetings that all the community people held in Europe last week, and the Italian contingent of that somehow jumped the gun and informed their local retailers, and that's simply how that slipped out to them. But in any case, it was removed first thing this morning, the date.
So over the weekend, or last week or so, numerous Italian retailers put up April 17th as a release date.
Yeah.
And then that became big news this weekend, and now today they removed it from the websites. So the Italian retailers now say what, just 2012 or something?
The Italian Amazon says 2012. I mean, they're hedging their bets totally with that one. That's it.
At least it's this year.
Yeah. But it worked out well, though, because there was a huge amount of column inches all over general news sites. And, of course, that will happen again when Blizzard US actually put out their announcement of the release date.
And that's going to happen when?
I'm not
this month? Will you even commit to this month or next month?
Well, I'm going to say definitely this quarter. You heard it here first.
It gives you 2 months and 26 days, so you'll probably be okay on that one.
Yeah.
And a bold prediction for Elly. Okay.
Mark my words.
Yeah. KD was a little bolder and also a little wronger. So.
Yeah.
Any other release date thoughts you want to add? Do you feel personally excited? I mean, obviously we kind of want to play the game, but it's It's been so long.
Right, okay, I'll tell you, this is how sad I am, okay? When it said the 17th, right, and it went up there and I knew about the Europe, everyone knew about the Europe meetings last week, I thought, well, this has got a lot of weight. And so I made a chart that had, was it 45 or 43 days? And I drew boxes and put 43 or however many days it is to 1 so I could circle them off. That's how sad.
Like a huge calendar on your wall with these on it?
Just an A4 piece of paper. I have spilt coffee over it, but I've still kept it now. And I'm going, that's how sad it is.
It's like an heirloom.
Oh no, it's terrible. It really, I couldn't believe when I actually finished doing it and sort of stuck it on the pin board. I just thought, how sad is that? But I don't care.
Blizzard should sell those in the Blizzard store. It's a calendar to count off until Diablo 2.
Yeah, complete with coffee stains, and tears. My tears when they miss the release date.
What are those are those called Advent calendars? Those ones you get around Christmas and you open up a new little square every day.
Yeah, and get a chop.
They have like Diablo Advent calendars. There's like little demon heads under them and fallen and stuff. Of course, that would require them to actually know when the date's going to be, and it's obviously that's they have no idea. But I actually wasn't even thinking about it. I was realizing going to bed this morning, which I mean that literally this morning because I have a vampire sleep schedule lately. Thinking they might release the release date today. I'm like, first of all, we're counting down until the release date of the release date. I mean, that's a little sad in of itself, right? They're going to tell us when it might come out today. No, they're not. Maybe tomorrow. Not even the release, but the release date of the release date. But that seems a little pathetic, frankly. But I was like, who cares? I mean, when it comes out, and we'll play it, and it'll be fun. But I don't have this huge budding excitement, even though the beta's been pretty fun to play lately. And I think like maybe I should have more of it, or at least I should be more in touch with. I mean, some fans, this is really important to them, and it's really like the biggest thing in their life. And if we say, hey, maybe there's going to be news on the 5th, they get really, really excited and think, oh my god. Whereas I was going to say for us, but you've made your advent calendar, so maybe it's just for me. It's just kind of like, oh, it'll be cool when we find out. It's just kind of fun to guess at the predictions and stuff.
Well,
so I mean, it's not like it's just a job or whatever for me. I mean, it's obviously something I care about, but I'm not. I guess it'll kind of get here when it gets here, and I'm not really that crazy about when that actually is.
Well,
which is probably why I post all those horrible news items, because I hate Blizzard, right?
You are a hater.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, that's why I spend 10 hours a day working on a Diablo 3 site, because I hate Blizzard and hate Diablo 3.
But I think it's good.
A strange way to show my hate, anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's good to get excited about things.
Yeah, my cold black heart doesn't do that much anymore. So I wanted to mention something about game details. The last couple of podcasts have been largely about the skill system and the new character stuff, and those have been not with Elly, though, so they don't count. Now that you're on the podcast, we saw this whole new skill system, and the runes are now integrated, and you get a new one every 3 or 4 or 5 levels forever, and there's no more finding items. Do you have any thoughts on the whole system now? Do you like the changes and the upgrades?
Well, I was looking forward to hunting down runes and upgrading them and going through all that process. I know a lot of people can't be bothered with that, but I do quite like collecting. But on the whole, I really like the new system. I can live with it. But what I can't live with as well is the interface. I don't think it's intuitive or user-friendly. But they have made a much better stab of it, I think, on their website, on the calendar. It's not a bloody calendar, what is it? It's a calculator on their official website, how you apply the skills when it pops out on the right-hand side. Have you played with it?
That's a loaded question. Yes, I have played with it a few times, and then I went blind. But yes, I have used the tool on the Blizzard site briefly. But I mean, it's it's basically the old system with the new skill runes. Where you can see all your skills at once, and you can pick from them kind of in a menu. You don't have to scroll through all these little miniature sub windows and with sorted into sections and such.
I like it on the website, but I don't like it in the game. I don't think it's intuitive at all.
It's ironic that the system they chose on the website for easier visibility is totally unlike the one in the game, which everybody seems to dislike. You kind of wonder how which hand is washing the other on this whole thing.
Does it suggest that maybe they're planning to make it more in line with what's on the website, do you think? They've had a rethink when they saw people's reactions and they thought, it's probably not as good as we could make it.
I think that's a very diplomatic way to describe it, saying it's not as good as we could make it. But I don't know. They seem to be very set upon this system where they want to kind of walk you through it. It's very noob friendly. It's very much you put this skill here and this skill here, and this will make you play better. Maybe they're afraid that if they show you the whole thing at once, people will be more cognizant of the fact that they don't want to use it the way it is.
Right. One
of the interesting things on the other podcast we did, I think it was Azzure was saying it. He was reading the threads on Battle.net about the new system, and on like Facebook and stuff, and basically we all kind of assume this system is made for casuals to kind of ease them into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he was reading the feedback from these casuals, and they all hated it. They were like, I hate this system. Why can't I put skills where I want? I don't understand. Why do I have to click through all these different boxes to see my total skills? I want an overview that's easier to look at.
Mm.
And it's like, well, I mean, this is our usual joke. They made this thing for Bashiok's mom, and she doesn't even like it. So you wonder, as you said, hopefully they'll get some feedback on this, and the elective mode will become a little more openly elective and not be still quite so limited.
One thing I did find a little bit troublesome is when you apply the different runes to the skills, it doesn't actually change the skill icon, and sometimes I can't remember without having to mouse over the skill which skill it is. The other day I was using Hungering Arrow, and then there's some other splitty arrow, and then it goes Cinder Arrow, and I was chopping between the two runes, but sometimes forgetting which rune I had in the skill. And the only way I could find out is by mousing over the icon, because the icon is the same for regardless of what rune you have in.
Yeah, do you know what happens to Cinder Arrow at midnight? It turns back into a pumpkin.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, thanks, I'll be here all week. Yeah, well, they took out the handy little color-coded, crimson alabaster, obsidian, etc., and put in these little squiggly things that all kind of look the same. And the squiggly things actually do correspond. I mean, if you look at what used to be crimson, that's a certain squiggly thing.
Right.
But it's not called that in the game anywhere, and it's hard to tell the squiggly things apart because they're all just, squiggly things. So I'm not even sure why they have those. And I guess they could kind of show that on the skill in some way, but it would sort of obscure it, and then, I mean in the interface, like what you were saying.
Yes.
I'm wondering what it would have been like previously. I mean, assuming when it was still in the item system, it probably just still showed just the basic skill icon on your toolbar, and you had to hover on it to see which one you were doing anyway. So it's probably not any different than it was, right?
Probably not. I mean, you couldn't have like the skill icon, and then if you've got a crimson rune in, have a tiny little crimson rune in the bottom right corner, say, of the skill icon, because that would
it wouldn't be visible,
and it would interfere with their artwork somewhat. A little bit messy, probably. The only thing, it could be a coloured border. Red, blue.
Yeah, I guess. But then, as much as they're trying to simplify the UI, it's very small icons and not a lot of images down there or anything. Not, no numbers, etc. It seems like that adding different colors would just lead to confusion, or at least that's what they would say.
It probably would, actually.
But yeah, I noticed that too. I would change. Obviously, it's not much of a problem in the beta because very few skills have more than one rune available, if any runes available. But you get in the final game, you'll have 5 for every skill. You get to level 60, and you'll be like, is this one on, the level 43 one, or is this one on the other one? And it's just something that once we've played the game for 1,000,000 hours, we'll all just kind of know by heart and won't even pay attention to anymore.
Probably, and we'll probably all wonder what we were bleating on about.
And yeah, on the other hand, that's probably why it's good to have beta testers. The Blizzard guys have played the game for 1,000,000 hours, and they don't even notice that anymore. Whereas the beta testers are like, this is annoying and we need better notification of what's happening here.
Fresh eyes.
Fresh eyes. Sounds like an English candy.
Fresh eyes? No.
Yes. Okay, next topic. Just today, Jay Wilson, I think it was Jay Wilson, mentioned that all of the monster hit points have been doubled, and they said they like the way this is playing. They said that's up to about level 20, and then it kind of goes back to where it was. So this would seem to be a direct result of the many, many fan comments that the beta is too easy. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. Hear, hear.
Would you like to elaborate upon that point, my dear?
Well, it's probably just a balancing thing, isn't it? After they doubled the players' hit points a few weeks back. It's
more than doubled, I think, actually.
Became ridiculously easy. I mean, it's still easy in the game, but I understand the early game needs to be easy, ease you into it, but they should present some sort of challenge to players, and it wasn't, was it?
Yeah, I thought they'd done well in the last patch when they added the new skill runes and stuff. The overall flow of progression and speed seemed nice. In terms of the way your damage scaled up versus the monster hit points. It seemed a better flow, and like you could really kind of feel yourself improving more gradually. It wasn't this huge jump when you first got your first blue weapon like it was previously. But like you say, the player hit points increased tremendously, greatly, and it just made it. It just didn't seem like you had to use any defensive techniques. I mean, you'd play a wizard and just stand where you were and shoot spells. It's like, oh, it's good if they get next to me because then I'll hit more monsters with the same spell with the same radius. It's like, no, you're supposed to be avoiding things when you're a weak wizard character.
Yeah.
Try that in Diablo 2. You can't sit there and let them get close to you and then shoot them. You'll be killed. And maybe they're trying to make Diablo 3 a little easier, a little more welcoming than D2 was, certainly. But it just, I mean, the thing I'd said on the previous podcast, I felt like you were, you've seen those huge sumo suits they put on people like for state fairs and stuff and wrestling, and you just kind of bounce off each other and everybody falls down and no one gets hurt. That kind of felt like what the player was wearing in the game in the new patch. It's like you've got this huge marshmallow defense on, and you're getting hit by monsters, but it makes no effect on you, and you don't even care. And you just kind of ignore it. They're doing like 6 to 8 damage, and you've got 470 hit points at level 5. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good move, and I'm really pleased to hear that it's going to come out in the beta, another patch for the beta with it.
Of course, that also means there will be additional patches in the beta, or as we say in America, beta.
Beta. Yes.
Beta.
The beta, yeah. So, no, we'll get to see it first.
That was something I was noticing with all of the April 17th hope and exaltations and prayers, is that they still have numerous beta contests just starting now and giving away keys for the next weeks. I mean, various gaming sites have announced them. And generally, the Blizzard betas don't run until like the day of the release. They shut the StarCraft one down, I think, about a month in advance. I'm probably wrong on that, and we'll get horribly angry comments on YouTube saying that I'm wrong. But I do recall that the Diablo 2 expansion, when released, shut down weeks before the game was released. And they're not going to give you a beta key in a contest and then shut the beta down 2 days later and say, hey, the release is coming in a month. I mean, I guess they might, but it seems to me they've probably spaced out the beta invites to where people are going to have at least a few weeks to play the damn thing.
Yeah, I imagine so too. So what's your point?
Release date June 27th and a half.
Okay,
June 33rd.
June 33rd. I'm writing that down. 33rd. June 33rd.
This is leap year, so we get 33 days in June in leap years. Right?
Yeah, we get extra days all over the place.
Okay. Anything else on that? Next topic.
Yes.
Let's do the BattleNet 2.0 thing first. That Azzure has written a guest op-ed in our site and got 280 comments in 2 hours or something like that. And something that we got the new chat channels finally in Diablo 3 a few beta patches ago, and they were not, I would say, not overwhelmingly approved. Was that your opinion on your observation there, Elly?
I was a little sort of taken aback when I first logged in and I clicked to open the chat interface, and up popped the little instant messenger type affair in the bottom corner. I kind of thought, right, is that really it? And yes, it was.
That's what my last date said. and then she took her glasses off, and it was all better. But yes, it's very small and very white. Oh wait, what are you talking about again? Yeah, the chat channel.
Oh dear.
People were a little Azzure's point is that Blizzard implemented this system in StarCraft 2, where as people will probably recall, Blizzard didn't even want to have chat channels in StarCraft 2. And if you do a Google search on that, you'll find an interview with Frank Pierce by our former writer Gunnar, or Leord, or Lord, or whatever we called him online, and asking Frank, so what's up with chat channels? And he's like, we won't have them, and he's like, what? Why not? And he goes, well, you won't need them if our matchmaking system works as well as we want it to work. And this was not long before StarCraft 2's release, and then of course that became a big news story, and there was massive fan outcries. And Blizzard kind of grudgingly said, okay, I guess we can put in chat channels then if you troglodytes really want them. People were like, yes, we do, we want them. And a lot of people have been wondering since then. They were implemented into StarCraft like 7 months after release, and seemed kind of half-heartedly. There's not public chat channels. They don't have like robust admin tools and stuff. And as Azzure's little editorial said, it's kind of like a ghost town, and people get onto StarCraft and play a game or two, and then you log off. There's no socializing. There's no community sense, and many people seem to miss that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Blizzard have Well, they've trimmed it back a lot from what was available on Diablo 2, haven't they? So I was really surprised that they felt that was the way to go.
Yeah, it's strange. As much as they push this whole BattleNet thing, and they have this cross-game chat, and they want it to be this big, entertainment hub, and they want us all to be on there all the time. And then the StarCraft 2 community system was really lackluster in the eyes of most fans. And now Diablo 3 is clearly just sort of an expansion of what StarCraft 2 had. And you add that in with things like 4-player limits in games and all the random matchmaking, and you can't create your own public games in Diablo 3 and give them names. And it just seems like a very automated system where you're playing with robots and no one really talks in the games, and there's just not a sense of community or chattiness going on. People have cited Warcraft 3 a lot as kind of the best chat channel interface Battle.net ever had. And they said they really liked the system, and it had lots of channels, and there were communities and talking. And for some reason, Blizzard has really gone away from that with StarCraft 2 and now apparently with Diablo 3. And it's clearly an intentional design. They're doing it, it's not an accident. And people are kind of wondering why.
Well, I've got no theories. I don't understand. I mean, you must have a theory, surely.
Funny you should mention that, but I do. Actually, I don't have a theory. We've discussed this I talked about this with Azzure like 2 weeks ago on the podcast, and I guess he was kind of planning his article at that point. We were talking about the Ghost Town thing and the StarCraft 2 thing, how no one really uses it, and there's very few active games of StarCraft 2. And just like, why is this, and why are they doing this? And we were trying to brainstorm what possible reason this could be. And usually, there's very little trouble finding excuses and theories for things Blizzard does. We can just, people start throwing around, it's Bobby Kotick, and it's just to boost the RMAH, and it's an evil conspiracy.
Mm.
Even if people don't believe those, it's not hard to formulate them. But with this whole chat channel thing and lack of socializing on Battle.net for Diablo 3, it was hard to even come up with a theory. And I was like, I can't even conspiracy theory this, which I was kind of disappointed in myself, frankly. I like to think I can come up with conspiracy theories for everything. But I finally saw a good one.
Oh.
And the theory, which I'm not saying I agree with, and it's not my theory, but I saw someone post it on Battle.net, they said that Blizzard is very cognizant of the power and the utility of strong online communities, because that's a great deal of the reason World of Warcraft remains popular. Everybody knows friends who keep playing MMORPGs just because they have other friends who play the MMORPG. You're in these guilds, you're in these groups, you can't leave or they won't have a healer, that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm sure you know people in World of Warcraft who've said that, Ellie, where they keep playing it because all their friends play it.
Yes.
Just say yes. Okay, good, you did.
Yes. Please proceed with your theory.
So obviously Blizzard is aware of this, and of course, to be in a community, in a group, in a guild in World of Warcraft costs you $15 a month. If they put really good socializing systems in StarCraft or in Diablo 3, people could move into those games, which don't cost $15 a month, and they would have their socializing there, and would not need to World of Warcraft for their socializing. So this person's theory, which again I'm not necessarily endorsing, said that Blizzard is intentionally sabotaging the community and socializing aspects of their other games because they're not a subscription fee and they don't make them continuing money, and they want to keep World of Warcraft as their only real socializing option until, of course, Titan or something else arrives in the future with monthly fees, in which case they'll have fantastic social systems, and they'll want you to move right into that from World of Warcraft. Insert Bobby's eyes picture here.
I don't know. I don't see the logic behind that. You have a crappy chat interface that doesn't promote community, so those people will play your other games that require you to pay a subscription fee to have good chat interface? Is that it?
Yes. Well, they don't want people... They know that most of their fans play World of Warcraft, and they obviously want their fans to buy StarCraft and Diablo 3, but they don't want them to get so involved in StarCraft and Diablo 3 that they quit playing World of Warcraft, which is kind of the whole point with their annual pass thing they put out, where they'll give you Diablo 3 for free as long as you keep playing World of Warcraft, keep paying for it.
No, that's...
So, you're obviously free to say it's bollocks, as you're probably about to say.
I was just forming the b when you interrupted me. Yeah, I was just about to say bollocks.
But that was the first theory I've seen that even makes any sort of explanatory sense, whether or not you buy it or not.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll keep looking for even worse conspiracy theories on this topic.
Well, if anyone's got a conspiracy theory, the more colourful and elaborate, the better. Please put it in the comment system.
Maybe opening Pandora's box there.
I don't know. It seems a moot point to me because I can't believe that this is the final version and this is what they're happy to stay with. But I don't know. Have they changed the StarCraft too? It doesn't sound like
No.
they have.
It's been the same. I mean, they've been like little tiny patches, but I mean, if you look in the StarCraft forums on BattleNet, there's like multiple, 80-page threads. People complaining about how bad the chat interface is and the lack of socializing, and they really want fixes and upgrades for this. And there's not a blue post on any of them. There's not even any response of any kind. So
it's just falling on deaf ears then.
Or maybe they have some wonderful magical upgrades coming if they ever do the expansion pack, the HOTS expansion pack. And they're just not talking about it at this point. But it doesn't seem like it's a priority for them anyway.
I don't know, but when the game goes on sale and everyone buys it, I guess the complaints that we've had so far will just multiply. Maybe we'll have 80-page threads that have gone unanswered as well.
One other new game feature that we can discuss briefly is they've mentioned how Magic Find works in Diablo 3, and it's now shared throughout the entire party instead of the Diablo 2 system where you got your own bonuses and everybody else got their bonuses and nobody shared anything. You have any thoughts on this new system, Elly?
Well, just wanted to clarify, if I had 10 Magic Find on, say, chest armor, and I came into a game with you, I would get 5, but you would also get 5. It would be split between the two of us, would it? Is that correct?
Yes. It adds up everything everybody in the game has and then divides that by the number of players.
Right. So if you had 2 experience on gloves, 2 plus 2 per kill on gloves, I would get 1 and you would get 1. So it'd be halved for you.
They said percent experience in the post. They didn't say plus per kill. So I'm not sure if it's both or they just didn't word it clearly. It would seem like it would be both kinds of, because there's experience, you get a set amount of experience per kill, or there apparently are modifiers higher up in the game where you increases your percent experience gain.
But say if you had a pair of boots that had 30%, just for example, movement speed enhance on your boots, I wouldn't get 15, would I? So It's just Magic Find, Gold Find, and a percentage of experience bonuses, and that's it.
Yes. And those are all added up for the entire group and then divided out evenly. And if you have some on your follower, it only counts for 20%. So if you had 100% Magic Find on your follower, you would only get 20% from that.
Right.
So basically, they're just making it really difficult to boost your Magic Find or Gold Find by putting equipment on your follower.
So it's more like making a team build then, because you have to think about the balance of, if you're going to stack someone up to be the Magic Find, like you have the healer, is someone just going to stack themselves up with Magic Find? So you're going to have to sort of balance a group build as opposed to just individual builds, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that people will probably do that with friends. I mean, if you're playing with your good friend, you wouldn't want to both be barbarians with 0 Magic Find, You'd be like, hey, get your wizard in there, and I'll do the tanking stuff with my barb, and you can have your 80% Magic Find, and that'll boost our overall output. Yeah, obviously that'll be a little more difficult in public games, but you wonder if there's going to be like this elitist thing, and you'll join a public game, and like if you get that kind of thing in World of Warcraft or other MMOs where people who some people can't get in groups. Like, oh, we don't want a rogue because that's useless. We already have a good rogue. We need a healer, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you wonder if there'll be a public game with 3 people, and you join in, and they're like, hey, unless you have 100 Magic Find or more, get out. We don't want you, and they'll kick you out of the game or something. You wonder if this might be kind of an unintended consequence of this change.
Yeah. It'll be good for the auction house, because say if I had 50% Magic Find and I was on my own, I'd get 50% more chance of looting a magic item. But if I went in a game with you, I'd have 25%, you'd have 25%. We'd be presumably killing things twice as fast, so the rate of looting more magic items would be increased. So we would bring more magic items into the game world and therefore maybe boost more items on the auction house. No? Yes?
Too many variables to say no or yes. We have no idea what rate of item finding we'll have high in the game. We have no idea how much Magic Find will be available, or where the diminishing returns will come in on Magic Find. And the really big issue is we don't really know how hard Inferno is going to be. I mean, Blizzard keeps saying it'll be super, super hard, etc. But the Diablo 2 developers said that too. And then most people played with 500% Magic Find in D2 and had no problems, once they had good equipment. So there was really no trade-off to Magic Find in D2 because you could still be a really powerful killing character against PVM at least, maybe not dueling or something, and still have tons of Magic Find. And if there's really a trade-off in Diablo 2, if you don't get MF on the best gear, and if you're really making a sacrifice in equipment quality to use Magic Find, And if Inferno really is hard, then that kind of changes all the variables. And maybe you really have to decide, okay, just one person. We can get some witch doctor, and he can be all behind his tanks and his pets, and he can have good magic find, and we'll all keep him alive, and that'll help all of us. Otherwise, we'll have no magic find at all.
Yeah.
Or where are we going to see every monk with 300% magic find on their hat because it's easy to get and they can live anyway? So it's really no way to predict at this point, but it's going to be interesting to find out.
Well, Blizzard obviously knows something none of us know, and that's how this sort of balance plays out in Inferno.
Well, they think they know how they think Inferno will play out in balance, but every game is very different once there's actual people playing it versus what they thought their testing system was going to be. Things are often, players get much more powerful much more quickly than they imagined in many games.
Yeah.
And maybe they made it harder than they think. They'll be able to rebalance it over time in patches and stuff. And they've said many times they want Inferno to be super, super hard, so you think they'll probably balance it to make it super, super hard.
Something else I noticed in this patch, I actually got my first rare drop outside of the Skeleton King. You said you'd had a couple as well, but I got a belt from a skeleton somewhere. First time ever for me.
Well, once the big magic find sharing comes in, you'll be rolling in those, I'm sure.
I was very excited. I got that little sort of ting in your tummy when oh my god, look. Because you're so used to, you get blues and yeah. And then a sort of yellow dropped and I completely didn't expect it. And it was like, oh!
Yeah, I think the first night of the new patch, I was playing my Demon Hunter or a Wizard I raced through to 13 really quick. And I found a rare Demon Hunter cape just in some random part in the dungeon. I was like, wow, maybe they've changed the drop rate. I haven't found anything since. So
no.
I believe that was either the second or third rare I found in the entire beta in many dozens of hours of play. So they're pretty uncommon early on. And I've noticed no improvement when I use Magic Find or not, at least in terms of rares, obviously. Maybe you get more blues.
Yeah, perhaps.
Any last thoughts, Ellie?
No last thoughts.
Are we going to be doing news attack podcasts regularly, or is this a one-time return for our happy listeners?
Yes, that's the plan.
Back to weekly, couple times a month, something like that?
Yep, it will be regular as clockwork.
Everyone who loves Ellie's Australian accent can look forward to hearing more of that.
Yep, very deep, thick Australian accent.
And did you grow up in Perth or Sydney? I always forget which. Clearly,
I've got a Melbourne accent.
Oh, sorry. It's the third option there. Any last thoughts this week, Ellie?
I just wanted to tell the listeners about, in case they haven't seen it, because it might slip by, was Diablo3.tv, which is the area on the Diablo Inc. Gamers where you can paste in the URLs of your videos or other videos that you found on YouTube or game trailers. So all you need to do is paste in the URL, pick the category, whether it's a Demon Hunter gameplay or whatnot, and then hit send, and it gathers all the information from YouTube or whatever, and then you just hit paste when you're happy with it. So you don't upload it to our server. Yeah, it's turning into a really nice little resource. We've got lots of gameplay and some amusing things going up there. There's a regular podcast Diablo 2 status update that goes up every few days. That's by Mac 10. That's really good. I listen to that every issue he puts up of that. So check it out. You can get it. It's on the Ink Gamers URL, but you can get it on Diablo3.tv. Redirects to it. So
clever.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that update, Ellie. And we will be back in a week or two with a new podcast, and you can check them all out on DiabloPodcast.com. And we are DiabloInkGamers.com. Bye.
Bye.
Moo. Toodles. I don't know what that was. Okay, we're done.